plug into the new ones.
They're nice.
It's supposed to be hitting like late October. Concept or prototype. As I mentioned, we don't have a butt plate on it. We're going to have a really small, abbreviated aluminum butt plate. It's got a M-Lock, a grip adapter up here, an integrated Venom suppressor fore-end on it. So there's actually a suppressor core that comes out. It's an 8-inch barrel pistol. This one's been SBR. The idea is how short can we get and compact with this BullPup to really turn it into something different and interesting. So this is going to change a little bit. Like a plate, the suppressor is going to be a hair longer, finger protector. But I'm a trained professional, so I'll shoot this and show everybody. The suppressor is hearing safe. We've got subsonics in here, so you can just kind of hear how it goes. And there you go. Awesome. Manticore arms, and today what we have here is a lot of the Scorpion products, specifically the Scorpion BullPup EVO, which we've got here, here, and here. They're all slightly different variations. We've got a Scorpion with a very short barrel here, what we call the Kurtz barrel, and we're going to go through the BullPup kit a little bit, compare it a little bit to the standard gun, just to explain how it works. I think there's a lot of curiosity. A lot of people, just in photos, couldn't tell what's going on. So we went to CZ about 2 years ago and pitched this proof of concept to them of doing a bullpup conversion of the standard Scorpion carbine. At its heart here, you've got, you can see here and here, the barrel, the fore end, the bolt carrier group, and the receiver of a Scorpion. What we've done is we've added a bullpup lower receiver, a butt plate, deflector, cheek rest component here, and a riser. These two guns are basically the same gun. They're both 16-inch barrels. This is the fake suppressor that CZ puts on some of them, so some people think that's suppressed. If it was a short barrel here with a long handguard and a suppressor, it works, it's fine. So what we're going to do, we'll take this guy apart real quick, kind of show you how it works, and then talk about a little bit of the details of our proof of concept here and length. So actually, just to go with length real quick, this is 26.5 inches long, 16-inch barrel. This is not an SBR. If you've got a carbine, you can drop this kit on it, and you're totally good to go. So, first thing, take the magazine out, make sure the chamber's clear.
So, that's right, I got the clear labels.
Good.
I did, the clear labels, and I printed them all out. They all
So, the first part is simply to take the butt plate assembly off here. If you have a stock on a Scorpion or the end cap with a sling on the pistol, there's a spring-loaded button. That button retains this butt pad, which also this butt pad helps support the rear end of the kit, of the lower receiver. So we just take any tool. I'm just going to use a pen here. We press the button down, give it a little tap, and then that'll get the butt pad started, and it comes off like this. So the butt pad, to get you can see it was a little snug on that one. That's the way you want it. But if you want to control the snugness of that or the fit, typically we've got two QD pockets here that have threading in them, and there's a bolt that goes between them. If you want just a little more friction or a little less friction, you can adjust the tension on that bolt, and that'll actually help control the grip on that. It also helps with adjustments for individual guns, if the gun's worn in, where the stock mounts or anything like that. So, what we're down to now is the lower receiver. The lower receiver at this point comes off pretty much like a standard one, and you've got this pin right here, this cross pin that's on the standard receiver. We just pull the pin all the way through. Lock the bolt back too. That's standard with a Scorpion because the ejector interacts with the bolt, and you have to have that out of the way. And then we just hinge it off. You will notice,
my husband's dad is one of 7.
in addition to the support on the rear where that butt plate is, and the pin here, there's metal reinforcement here to give it extra strength. We have a metal hook here that actually hooks into the front of the fore end, and that's why we show it typically on carbines. We need the length of the carbine fore end, additional 4 ends made of aluminum that extend all the way out to here. They're all different lengths, but basically what we wanted to show was if you took just a stock carbine, how this kit drops onto it and what it would look like on day one, and then you can accessorize from there. So beyond that, it's a standard carbine. You can take the bolt out, you can clean it. The cheek rest, there's really no reason to take off, and the same with the riser. The riser is only if you need it for optics, like on this guy you can see it, but if your optics has a riser built in or you have a mount that works with that, you can just run with that. The lower here, really all you're doing is taking the components out of your standard lower receiver and moving over to here. What we've got is the grip. The grip is removable. So we're showing the standard OEM grip, and once again, the reason we're doing that, we want to show you what this carbine looks like on basically day one. If you had your carbine and put it the BullPup kit on it. So we've got the grip, we've got the trigger bow here, and the trigger pack here, the ejector, the bolt release, and the cross pin, and then also the spring for the magazine release. All that's just taken out of your existing lower. It's installed in here. There's instructions, and it's completely reversible. You can take all these parts out, put them back in another lower. It's not a problem. So that's pretty much how the lower works. The only difference is normally on a Scorpion you have the safety back where the trigger is. We don't use the original safety selector. We spent a lot of time with CZ talking with their engineering department about that, how we wanted to accomplish that. We decided that a safety by your hand was a better solution, and we didn't want to go with 2 safeties for obvious reasons, so you got confused if you're which one's on, which one's off. But the safety is a mechanical block, so what we've got is this cross bolt safety. When it's on safe, there's a little tab in here, or a tooth, that engages the trigger bar. There is no way to push it forward or backwards. What this does, and then when you push it off, it disengages. What this does is guarantees there's no way for that trigger to move once this button's pressed. And part of our design here is a patent pending feature we call the trigger shoe. This trigger bar goes here, comes around the mag well, it drops down below the trigger pack. The original trigger bow is now here that we put on the front. We've replaced that trigger bow with a component called the trigger shoe, and that's our patent pending part of the assembly. That basically this trigger bar is linked directly in both directions to the trigger shoe, which is part of the trigger pack. So if you're pushing the trigger back, it activates the hammer, and then as you can see, if I let off the trigger, the components are moving. So they're mechanically linked completely, and so that basically when this safety is on up here, there's no way for any of the components to move here. There's no way if the safety's on for the hammer to accidentally drop from getting jarred or anything like that. This also means that we don't have to have a separate spring up here to cause the bar to return because it's linked both directions, which actually helps with trigger pull. You're not stacking additional spring pressure on it. Trigger pulls maybe 3/4 pound more, but what we've done as part of the design is gone with a slightly longer length of trigger pull. That has to do with how the trigger shoe interacts with the trigger bar. And what that does is spreads out the trigger pull over a longer distance, which allows us to essentially get a fulcrum arm and drop the amount of trigger pull necessary. So it's a balancing act with that. We spent a lot of time engineering that to get the proper balance of trigger pull length and trigger pull strength in pounds to get it to work and be comfortable, I should say. It works no matter what, but to get it comfortable. So beyond that, with the lower, what we've also done is we've got some kind of experimental concepts here. We've got right here, like I said, a standard Scorpion with a 4-inch barrel on it and a slider arm brace. This guy we've nicknamed the Stinger PDW. So this is a Scorpion pistol here. It's actually the 7 3/4-inch barrel or 8-inch barrel, depending on what people call it. The standard one that comes on the pistol, your receiver, bolt carrier group, and we've removed the handguard. And what we've done is put our own new M-Lock integrally suppressed handguard on it. This is called our Venom suppressor. It's actually a core that slides in here, is mounted on the sides here, and seats over the barrel. This gives us a lot of volume, a lot of space to work with. It's very compact. It only adds, I think, about 3.5 inches to the length from the face of the muzzle device to the barrel. There's no butt pad on this one. We're actually working on an abbreviated butt pad. If you look look at the original butt pad, it's a little bit long, and that's actually to keep at over 26 inches. We have to go with a slightly longer butt pad. But if you're an SBR, it doesn't really matter at that point. So with this guy, we're going to actually have a little abbreviated aluminum butt plate on him. And then what else we've done here is, in addition to the suppressed forend, an abbreviated butt plate, we've got this M-lock adapter for Scorpion grips. It'll work with any of the aftermarket grips. And that kind of also goes back to the original project. One of the things CZ wanted to make sure of is that these worked with all the existing aftermarket support. So we get some people who might say, why didn't you go with an AR grip? Why didn't you go with an integral grip? Why did you go with their grip that's got an angle on it? This is removable. You can take it right off, put any of the aftermarket grips on it. I'd say there's a good chance we'll probably introduce our own grip at some point that works really well with this. And same thing with this adapter up here. This proof of concept, we may extend the suppressor a little and/or get a finger hook on here, just because that's a little sporty when you're shooting it. But basically, it gives you a hearing-safe suppressor in here. We shot subsonics through it all day, even supersonics, which are a little snappy. But you know, it's working great so far. And this kind of shows you the direction we want to go in with this. We're going to offer forends. We're going to offer some other accessories. So this kind of gives you the base component of the kit to get you started, and then you can take it wherever you want. The main thing we were interested in is offering a kit that allowed you to do something different. It might not be for everybody, but if you want a gun that's 12 inches shorter in the same package, you've got that without having to do an SBR. If you want to SBR it, well, you can go even shorter. We've got a 4-inch barrel on this guy, and this is a normal stock. You can see we can line this up. This with a 7.5, 7.75 barrel is actually shorter with an integral suppressor than a 4-inch barrel gun with a stock deployed. And the grips are basically in the same spot. So this is really what we're trying to accomplish here, is give you a much more compact package with basically the same features of the Scorpion, which is a great core, of the gun. It gives you a great base platform that's reliable. Everybody knows what to expect with the Scorpion, and that's pretty much what we tried to accomplish here.